now time for the www.bookprowrestlers.com interview. BookProWrestlers.com, a professional licensed company that has been assisting professional wrestlers with their booking and helping promoters of all types book quality, dependable wrestling talent for wrestling events, personal appearances, seminars, clinics, and autograph sessions. www.bookprowrestlers.com.
Welcome everybody to a special edition of Are You Afraid of the Mark? I'm Josh Ruckstall, and today we are joined with a very special guest, a ROH Superstar, Keith Lee. Keith, thanks for coming on the show.
Greetings to all. You're very welcome, my friend.
So, we're going to do the generic question to start it off. How did you get into the wrestling business?
It's kind of a strange story, I suppose. I chose it. There's a small group of fans that seem to think that football players fail football and go to wrestling, but as fate would have it, there, in actuality, some cases in which the person chooses wrestling over football. That would be my case. I had the opportunity to go and play at a higher level, and I chose wrestling myself.
So where'd you go to get trained? What was that process like? Was it a culture shock coming from the world of football into the world of wrestling?
My grandmother's loved wrestling since I was a child, so not necessarily it was slight culture shock, I suppose you could say. The process was I basically stopped playing football. I played at Texas A&M. I had opportunity to go play either CFL or in the NFL, but I had discovered wrestling and a way to get involved. The one that trained me was a very old school person. You might know the name. His name is Killer Tim Brooks.
Yep.
That's how I got my start, and him and I've had experience with several others, but definitely that is the camp I came out of.
So you are making a mainstay for yourself on television as a tag team, but you're having phenomenal matches as a singles competitor. Which do you prefer, working in your tag team or work singles matches?
It's hard to say right now because I can't say that I've had a tag team match that really has allowed me to push at the level of competition that singles has. Singles is actually fairly new to me. I'm definitely a singles competitor, but tags it's new, and Ring of Honor just asked if I would be willing to do it, and when you want to be somewhere, you're obviously you're gonna do what they ask, and in that time, I've come to really enjoy, getting to know Shane and whatnot. So it's been enjoyable. I would probably call myself more of a singles competitor since I've never really done much tag team wrestling. But I'm hoping with time and more competitive matches, I'll get the same knack for that as I have for singles matches.
Now, as of recently, this past month, you have been generating a lot of buzz on Twitter, getting retweets from select wrestlers as David Starr, JT Dunn, Donovan Die Jack. But Donovan tweeted out because you worked a hell of a match with him down at Beyond Gigantic. Can you tell me about that match?
For me, it was another match. I knew that Dijak was good, but even during that match, even I was very much so just, wow, this dude is really good. I guess you can call that a chemistry thing, but everything just felt natural, and that's just that level of work is what I prefer. That's just how I prefer to wrestle. So to do it and then do something that feels natural to me and see so many people appreciate it and enjoy it has been a tremendous shock, and it's been really interesting to watch, and I guess you could just say enjoyable.
Now, there's a certain clip that has been made famous from that match. Can you talk to us about that clip of you going over the top rope?
Oh, that move is called the Meteor, which is nothing but tope con hilo, I believe it's called, and I started doing them in 2015, I believe. And I've been doing it since I want to say a little over a year now. Now it was a little more difficult at Beyond because Beyond's ropes are actually much higher than regular wrestling rings ropes. But for me, that was just kind of part of the fun, kind of like a challenging me and my ability to leap. So I knew I wanted to do something special. First time being at Beyond, and a lot of fans that don't know who I am and trying to figure things out. But if I give them a taste of my athleticism, I figure they would enjoy it, and that was an understatement. So it's been a good time since.
Yeah, fair to say you have ever since that moment. I've been following you for probably 6 months before that moment, but since that moment, it just every time I go on Twitter, there's a bunch of people tweeting about you, messaging you, just saying how awesome of a match that was, and they can't wait to see your future work. So obviously, you showing your athleticism worked out well there.
Yeah, I think that a lot of wrestling today has a whole nother facet to it, and people they're starting to appreciate those people that they move well, they look natural, they're athletes. It's not just um a body competition anymore. It's about your ability in the ring, and there's nothing I've loved more than a level of competition that allows me to exhibit that at the highest level. Dijak was perfect competition for that. Somebody bigger, somebody that I'm not going to just step all over, obviously. So it allows me to broaden my approach to a match, which is far more enjoyable for me.
So before we get into talking exclusively about ROH, you have been booked all over the United States. I've seen you up. I live in Canada, but right on the border of Maine. So I saw you were down in Maine recently, and then the following night you're in Beyond. What's it like getting all these bookings all over?
Uh, to me, that's just the essence of somebody that wants to make it in this business. If you wanna get known, you're gonna have to travel. That's just the way it goes. For me, that was obviously a step in the right direction because the amount of buzz generated from one trip to the Northeast was astounding, to say the least. Um, which led to another booking, which was pretty phenomenal in and of itself. Um, and it just gives me more opportunities to cut loose and just give the people a piece of who Keith Lee is inside the ring, which is not it's not regular wrestling, I would say. You don't really see big guys move the way I do usually.
That is fair to say from the amount of buzz generated from seeing all the clips and all the tags are the 6'3", 330 pound hits this amazing move. Watch this clip. And is that your actual height and weight?
With boots on, yeah, I'm around 6'3", maybe a little over. I'm about 6'2" and a half without boots. I don't have any lifts or anything like that. It's just the little half inch that comes with it. I am legit. I hover around 332 to 335. Hopefully Hopefully not so much before the year is out, but yeah, 330 is I'm around that range regularly.
And it's amazing seeing a guy at your height and size do what you can do in the ring, because that is an art that isn't shown anymore in the world of pro wrestling.
Well, you have to also understand, throughout these years, a lot of times big guys are discouraged from even displaying their athleticism, saying that it's too much and whatnot. And I'll admit sometimes it can be over the top. Um, but I think that there's a time and a place, and if I have somebody that's going to push me to my limits, then I feel like I should need to resort to other things. And agility is second nature to me, thanks to being an athlete. So I think it's to me. I just want to break a barrier. I don't want to have big guys be defined by this is what you need to do. I would say do what you enjoy doing.
So, going from there to now you are on ROH. Tell us about how that came to fruition. How you got in contact with ROH to be on their product.
Oh, my that's really difficult to say because it just I just happened to show up to a show and I met some of the guys there, and then I want to say a few months went by, and then they were like, "Well, can you make it to Amarillo in Oklahoma City, which was a double shot they had last year. I want to say May 29th and 30th.
Yeah, it was their best in the world.
Yeah, so I ended up in Amarillo and in Oklahoma City. And the day I got there, they just basically asked, like, well, would you be comfortable tagging with Shane Taylor, who was already doing dark matches and whatnot for them? I was like, well, I mean, I'll do whatever you ask of me, honestly, because I'm just looking for an opportunity, a shot, if you will. And we started working with them then, and just kind of off and on, shows here or there, and we just kind of picked up steam, I guess you could say. I think every show we've ever been on, we've been given some sort of an ovation or a standing ovation, and many chants of appreciation for what we are able to do in the ring. So I guess a lot of voices have been heard with them, and has been pushing us along steadily with them.
Is there now? I've been seeing these messages, video messages on Twitter from ROH themselves that you and Shane are wanting to get a shot at the tag team champs.
Well, we did approach the champs in the Addiction. However, what ended up happening was we actually went out on Sunday in Columbus, Ohio, and costed War Machine their chance to get their belts back by destroying them. There is quite the story behind that, and I will not reveal it here, but it's a pretty intense situation, to say the least.
So it's fair to say that the program going forward will be Keith Lee and Shane Taylor versus War Machine.
If that's not the case, then then we we murdered them and got away with it, I guess you can say. But I'm fairly certain there'll be some sort of rebuttal for that.
What is it like in the locker room, in the atmosphere of the ROH locker room, with all of these guys who have made it on the independent circuit, which is, many say, harder to do than to make it in like WWE or something?
Honestly, ever since I came into the locker room, it's probably been my favorite locker room. The majority of it is extremely helpful, and a lot of guys have definitely warmed up to us, and I've impressed quite a few people. So there's a lot of people really rallying for us and pushing us along and rooting for us and whatnot, which is, not a normal thing in locker rooms. Most times somebody's begging for you to fall pretty much. But the atmosphere is pretty amazing. It's very close knit and not I mean, I'm sure there are volatile things, but I don't involve myself in them. Everything that I've experienced thus far has been great, to be honest.
Is Has there been a team that you really had good chemistry with? Previously, I've seen you work with Bob Evans, Tim Hughes. You've worked with Silas Young and the Beer City Bruiser. Has there been a team that you just really worked well with? Kenny King and Rhett Titus also are there as well.
I felt a specific type of, and it's hard to explain to if somebody's not a wrestler, but sometimes when you're in the ring, you can just tell that you click with somebody. I feel like Kenny King is absolutely one of those people. I flat out told him I want a one-on-one match because I think that we would set the apron and the canvas on fire if given the opportunity. Um, Silas in Beer City Bruiser was very, very fun. I think that could go to several different levels with them. Um, I can't say there are lots of teams we want to wrestle. So, as in terms of that, I'd say that we were just excited to get the chance to wrestle those two teams to begin with. Like that just kind of made our weekend in and of itself to show up and our first match against contracted talent against ANX was unexpected and greatly welcomed. So the opportunity itself was fantastic.
Where do you see Keith Lee going from here? Obviously, the tag team division is where your mind is set right now. But do you have sights on going any further, maybe as a singles competitor, or is right now just it's a flat ground and tag team is where you want to be?
I'd never really restrict myself or my options. As of right now, it's kind of case by case. I like opportunities. I like challenges. So it just kind of depends on what comes up from here, and moving forward from here. Because in terms of right now, I don't really know what the future holds, I guess you can say. A lot of things could easily be up in the air, and some things could be snatched out from under us before we know it. It's just kind of here's a shot, and let's see what happens. And I'm hoping to capitalize on that to the fullest extent.
Perfect. If somebody's looking to book you, Keith, how can they get in contact with you to do so?
I say Facebook messaging me is a good way, but I'm not the greatest at keeping up with messengers. So the better options would be to direct message me on Twitter.
And what's your Twitter?
The handle for Twitter and Instagram as well, actually, is at Real Keith Lee all together. If you chance a message on Facebook, it's just facebook.com/Real Keith Lee. I try to keep everything streamlined so nobody gets confused.
Well, there we go. Is there any merch or upcoming dates you'd like to plug now?
Actually, yeah. I have some pretty awesome designs I just dropped recently with bottomlinemerch.com. And if you go under the wrestlers tab, you can just click on Keith Lee. or Pretty Boy Killers, and check out some of Shane's awesome designs as well. I believe he has 3. I only have 2 at the moment. Uh, Dates upcoming. Oh, that's when is this going to be getting?
This is gonna be out this week. Like tomorrow, I'm gonna post it.
Oh, awesome! So Friday is VIP Wrestling, which is June 10th, and that show is going to be ridiculous. I don't know if you know about them, but they're the only show ever to run a wrestling event after WrestleMania in the same city and completely sell out. They had a midnight show that I was a part of. Me and Shane actually challenged for the GHC titles from Killer Elite Squad. But this show coming up, I believe Raymond Rowe is defending the VIP title against Pentagon Jr. And myself, I am in a fatal 4-way elimination match for #1 contendership against Tommaso Ciampa, Lugatti Starrett, and Gregory James, when that match is probably going to be rather ridiculous. Just imagine me throwing 3 men at once. It's definitely possible.
So you have the Friday with GHC. Is there any other upcoming dates that you'd like to?
June 18th is Pro Wrestling Texas, which is in Buda, Texas, an NWA branch. And I'm sure that Jack Stain's probably going to be defending the NWA World's Championship against somebody. Oh, as a matter of fact, I think he's defending against Steve Corino, which is pretty freaking awesome. I'm not sure what other matches are on there off the top of my head. And then 25th, of course, I'll return to Ring of Honor in North Carolina. The 26th, I make my return to Beyond to face John Silver, actually, which will be awesome because I've never ever wrestled him, so that's going to be fun as well.
Well, perfect. I thank you for coming on the show and sharing a little bit of Keith Lee with us, and hopefully sharing it with the world now.
Oh, you bet, bud. I always enjoy giving time when I can.
Perfect. Thank you. This has been Are You Afraid of the Mark with Josh Ruckstall, and my guest today was Keith Lee.